Welcome to IHIP News Live. Today, we want to talk about the Democratic response to Trump's second term in general. And I have been breathtakingly disappointed with it thus far. I feel like we're playing two different games here. I feel like they've come in, MAGA, Trump, Musk, all the crackheads that he's appointed to his cabinet, and they are dismantling everything fearlessly and lying to the public, aligning with Russia. And then you hear the Democrats like still playing politics as usual. And this is just an extraordinary moment that I think requires an extraordinary response. And I found this online. It's an article from The Atlantic. And the headline is Democrats are acting too normal. And I completely agree with this. Next slide. Alyssa Slotkin's address suffered from the same half-heartedness that has seized the Democrats since last November. Her response and the behavior of the Democrats in general showed that they still fear being a full-throated opposition party because they believe that they will alienate voters who will somehow be offended at them for taking a stand against Donald Trump's schemes. And here's what I have to say about this. Donald Trump, in my opinion, won in 2016 because I remember when he came out, he started calling out all the Republicans for just being gross, hypocritical, duplicitous politicians. That's when he had Lying Ted. That's when he had Little Marco. And he would just get up on those debate stages during the primaries and just rip. And I remember my husband, who's the biggest progressive Democrat on the planet. He goes, I'll tell you what, that guy's a nut, but I love the way he just eviscerates everybody in his party. I love it. And it's because he gave a damn and he gave a shit that got him to win that primary. And he's taken that same spirit, even though it's all bananas and he's a total sociopath and malignant narcissist, because he doesn't care if people like him or not.
Right.
He believes in his crazy, cruel shit, and he never backs away from it. And the Democrats' approach to always try to find this elusive middle ground, I think is such a milquetoast loser idea. And it doesn't meet this moment where I believe we're in the middle of a coup, probably by Russia.
I don't understand why they are not beating the drum every single day. Donald Trump is an agent of Vladimir Putin. Elon Musk is an agent of Vladimir Putin. They are treasonous. What they are doing is treasonous. Like, why are we not standing on soapboxes instead of saying, you know, well, da 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 da. What about calling him an out and out liar? What about responding in kind, which I know Michelle Obama said when they go low, we go high. I don't
She remedied that.
She did. But
Yeah.
I mean, they have no bottom. You cannot, so you have to hit people like for you to call people out. They like it. His base particularly likes it.
I think that a lot of Democrats do call him out. I think what's missing is a a unifying where you see Schumer, the Speaker of the House. Chris Murphy does speak out very vociferously. Bernie Sanders obviously does. Where there is a commiserate reaction to this, that is, this man is completely lying. He's doing illegal acts. And I mean, they need to be filing lawsuits left and right. They need to have class action lawsuits from all of these people that were fired. They need to be bombing the airwaves at all times. And I just feel like this whole report came out that we covered a few episodes where it's like a few episodes ago where they're saying, the Democrats are going to start going to gun shows
Right.
and not lean into identity politics. The Democrats' message on identity politics needs to be the people who talk about trans people and drag queens all the time are MAGA. It's weird. They're trans obsessed. It freaks everybody out. Most of all, it freaks out trans people and makes them not feel safe. Why aren't you flipping the script on this, but to just abandon your base and go for these Liz Cheney voters? It's just crazy. And I want to say this. I want to say this about Kamala Harris. I think Kamala Harris would be such a good president because she listened to the advice of people. She was disciplined. She made sure she was very well read, learned on every single subject. And then the Democratic establishment comes in because they were bashing, we were bullying conservatives. Everybody on Twitter was so happy. Oh my God, we can bully conservatives again. and we're calling him weird and we're going after him. Kamala has this HQ rapid response where they're just memeing the shit out of Donald Trump. And then they kind of backed off of it. And she starts trotting around. And I'm sure this was at the advice of these, old Obama slash Clinton mainstay Democratic establishment. They say, don't call them weird anymore. Start trotting around with Liz Cheney. And this is where I think people see when the first people jumped on the Trump train and he called out the duplicity of politicians. That duplicity exists on both sides. And so when you see the Democrats do this, when you see the Democrats try to be everything for every voter, it's so breathtakingly unattractive and unauthentic. And it would be a million times better if they stood up and said, yeah, we're woke. We're not fucking assholes. And we don't like to bully marginalized people. You want to call us woke because we don't like to crash the economy? Do it. Fuck you. That's the position they need to take. But instead it's, oh, we have to run away from identity politics. In saying that, you're vindicating this myth that liberals are completely consumed with identity politics all the time, which, you guys, we live in the buckle of the Bible Belt. Every county in Oklahoma went red. The only people talking about transgender stuff in this state are Republican politicians, and they are creepily and bizarrely and weirdly obsessed with it.
Cruelty is their love language over in the MAGA base. But I do believe it's time for, I have been shocked in preparation for Trump 2.0. There was not a coordinated response. There was not, okay, we are going to get in and we are going to be loud and we are going to bully the shit out of these people. And instead, it was like, we're going to vote 99-0 for Marco Rubio for Secretary of State. I'm like, is this the plan? And then I heard Chuck Schumer after the State of the Union, and I was just like, his plan is to organize. Great. That's a great fucking plan. That's going to work so well. Like, we need more. I mean, we're sitting out here losing democracy. The economy's crashing. All this shit's happening. People are getting fired. People are losing their benefits. All of these things are happening. And this is like a response to, like a continuing resolution about balancing the budget. Like this, we're not there. That's not where we are. Do you feel like we're kind of behind? We're behind the eight ball and we're not rising to the occasion. Would that be a good summary?
Well,
Or do you think it's stronger?
there's no question we're behind the eight ball. I mean, this is a wholly unprepared, impotent response, lackluster response from the Democrats. We sounded the alarm of exactly what this man was going to do, and he's done it. And the whole optics of the inauguration, and there was a lot of people on the internet that said, and I agreed with them, like, on the one hand, you say he's a fascist, he's a dictator, and he's going to dismantle democracy. But on the other hand, everybody shows up except for Michelle Obama and mother Mike Pence and passes the torch over to him. And the optics of that being disingenuous, it makes people think, is everybody in on this? And so the Democrats have got to take very, very, very strong positions that Chris Murphy did this. He regrets his vote for Marco Rubio. They need to start bullying the fuck out of Marco Rubio. They need to start calling him out. They need to start bullying and calling out Republicans in the Senate who are real big Ukraine supporters, who've been to Ukraine, who've been on the streets of Kiev, and then show the clips of how they talked about how dangerous Vladimir Putin was. And then they need to get everybody in that person's district to call and start browbeating these people. The Democrats' number one goal every single day when they wake up should be, we're going to impeach Donald Trump. And we're going to figure out how to do it. And we're not going to stop working until he is out of the executive branch, because we feel that's how dangerous he is. And we're going to save democracy. I think every single day, every American should hear from a Democrat, we are working as hard as we can to impeach him. We know you got fired. We know that you believe and that you see that Elon Musk is taking away all of these protections and all of these agencies that help you so that he doesn't have to pay taxes. And that's bullshit. And by the way, he wasn't even born here. He's a South a South African. Trump talking about all these immigrants committing all these crimes, yet he lets these sex traffickers back in, the Tate brothers. This is illegal. This is outrageous. This is impeachable. And they need to grow some fangs because it's exhausting and it's tiring to watch them act like this is the response. And again, we play two different games. They've come in and said, yeah, we won. They barely won. It's a mandate. We're doing everything the American people want to do. And they've done it. And then they've done extra. And we're like, oh yeah, we're waiting for the midterms.
Right.
Everybody, let's wait for the midterms.
We might not get to the midterms at this rate.
I don't think we will. Autocrats do not want to cede power. The reason that he's put all these crackheads in is because they have no morals or no integrity and will bend the law to make sure he stays in power. All right, let's take some questions and comments from the viewers. Hang on, I got to make my screen larger. When they kicked Al Green out, every Dem should have got up and walked out. The left singing na 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 hey 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 goodbye is the most immature thing I've quite literally seen ever. I agree. I think they all should have walked out. The optics of them holding up the signs. I mean, I get they're trying to do something, and I get that there's a leadership void in the Democratic Party right now. But if Jeffries isn't going to fill it,
Right.
and Schumer isn't going to fill it, somebody needs to rise up and do this. This is a moment in history. We are living in a historical moment where there is a coup taking place and everybody sees it.
Right.
They've shut down these MAGA rallies, town halls, because the MAGA politicians can't take hearing the heat from MAGA voters.
Right. And they sit around and lie and say, oh, well, they're Democratic plants, which we know they're not. I know we had Brendan Boyle on the podcast yesterday, and because we were advocating, like, don't even show up to the state.
Advocating.
I always say that wrong. Don't show up at the State of the Union. And his point, which was very well made, was then Mike Johnson would fill it. I thought the same thing that she thought, or he thought. Why wouldn't you get up and leave? Everybody walk out. So what if he brings the MAGA faithful in? The point is made at that point. Bernie
agree.
Sanders walked out, Jasmine Crockett walked out, and they were fantastic. But I agree with you. Why are you sitting there listening to these lies?
The minute he said, y'all are never going to clap for me, you're never going to stand up for me, nobody's ever going to do it, come together for me, they should have all stood up and turned around and walked out and sent a message to the world
Agree.
that those representatives of the American population will not play like this is normal. That one Congresswoman, Seth put it up, she had a picture that said, this is not normal. And then some MAGA prick grabs the sign and just throws it. Irony completely lost on him, because that's not a normal thing to do. But these little signs juxtaposing all of the lies, the jet stream of bullshit coming out of Trump, this is just not the optics. This is not it. This will be decades of MAGA rule.
Right.
Post-Trump, like this style of shit will keep going until the Democrats get their shit together and quit campaigning and governing out of fear of pissing somebody off. That's why Trump wins. That's why MAGA wins, because they don't give a shit if they piss people off.
They like it.
They fight for what they believe in. I don't care if my campaign for human rights, and I don't care if my opinions piss people off, because I feel like I'm on the right side of history. And I'd like to see that from the Democratic Party as a whole. I think that there are Jasmine Crockett, a lot of you have said in the comment section,
Yes.
AOC, Eric Swalwell. We've had Robert Garcia on here. We had Brendan Boyle on here. Elizabeth Warren. I think they need to go harder. I think they need to go tougher. And this whole push to the middle is the biggest titty baby wuss move on the planet. You have Stephen Miller, Trump's sociopathic advisor, who's a total Nazi, said, honestly, we've been surprised that we've gotten so few lawsuits with these executive orders. We were prepared for a lot more. The same guy said, yeah, we've been surprised at how cooperative Biden has been in transitioning power. They laugh at us, and we are still always trying to do the same thing. And I always go back to this. Before in Biden's final days, he pardoned his son, and people in the Democratic Party were pissed about it.
Right. There, I read an article not long ago about it. I mean, they're still mad about it. I read an article in the New York Times within the last 2 weeks talking about how, Biden's mental faculties were being hidden by his advisors. I'm like, Trump is running around with Elon Musk calling every shot he does, and you're talking about what Biden did? Cut me some slack. I mean, you can't do this.
Another thing the Democrats need to do is start calling out the press, and they need to say, why do you hold us up to two different standards?
Right.
Joe Biden's mental faculties, and y'all are still doing articles about it. Have you looked at Donald Trump? Have you seen how insane he is? He can't even blend his makeup. Another thing Democrats need to do is Democrats need to start bashing rural governments and how poorly they're run in the same way that MAGA has bashed big blue cities. Rural Oklahoma votes, I would say probably 80% for Trump. They're poor. They get skipped over. Their education is not funded. Farms are going bankrupt, all of these things. Why are we not bashing states like Oklahoma that has a MAGA supermajority and talking about it being ranked 49th in the country?
Why aren't we talking about that? All of the big MAGA southern states are economic drains paid for by the government in the blue states.
And I think Democrats get too scared, like, oh, then we're going to make people mad in Oklahoma. Here's the message. They don't like you. They're never going to like you. They're never going to vote for you ever. Triple Trumpers are always going to hate Democrats because they went to these mega churches and these Baptist churches in Oklahoma or Tennessee or Texas or Louisiana. And two things were taught to them at the exact same time from age 0 to adult: Jesus and Republican policies, the devil and Democratic policies. And it's a part of their culture and it's cooked in, and they're never, ever, ever going to like you. So you Democrats need to start an attack on multiple different fronts. Number one, attack the shit out of Trump, attack the shit out of Musk, call them traitors, say that this is a Russian coup, say that Trump is compromised by Vladimir Putin. Trump ran around forever talking about Donald Trump not being born in the United States, which everybody knew was a lie.
Barack Obama.
I mean, sorry, yeah, who did I say?
You said Donald Trump.
Yeah, Barack Obama. And then attack these red state governments and how poorly they're run and how their states are bottom feeder states. Like Oklahoma, for example, our governor is so stupid. I mean, breathtakingly dumb, the dumbest person I've ever seen in my life. He's in the middle of his second term. And now he's like, Oklahoma is starting Doge. We're getting rid of government waste. We're sniffing it out left and right. I'm like, MFR, you've been in power for 6 years and we're still ranked at the bottom. And then he always like gaslights the public. Oklahoma's a top 10 state.
Right.
That's like, we're not.
We're not. We're
It's like 44th, 46th, 50th, and best place for women to live in the country.
education.
Dead last.
Yeah.
Education, dead last. In healthcare, dead last. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's such a layup. The attacks write themselves. We're planning for the midterms. We're going to organize.
We're organizing.
We're organizing. We're over here printing flyers. We're going to go put them out at Walmart, local Walmart, put them on windshields. Pumps and I are going to go do some door knocking.
Right. That's going to help a lot.
I mean, fuck. That's
It's been-
unbelievable.
It's been breathtakingly disappointed. Exactly what you said. Those were the perfect words.
Okay, let's read more comments from our viewers. I think that the Dems should do town halls with MAGA voters to explain what is going on. Walk into the lion's den. Okay, I totally agree
Agree.
with this.
This is a great idea.
We had Eric Swalwell on live on Sunday, and he did one, and I think he said Missouri, and we want him to come here. And I think that Democrats, because Republicans have said they're not going to do town halls anymore, I think Democrats need to come into red districts and do it. Walk right in and say, we're not scared like little Moses Mike Johnson is. And I think that we need to, that's one thing to do. I think the Democrats need to be doing 20 things at a time as loud as they possibly can, because that's what MAGA does.
Yeah. Absolutely, that's what they do.
Yeah, they have to flood the zone. Okay, next one is my MAGA. Hang on, let me make this bigger. My MAGA senators and representatives are afraid to have town halls. Oh, Sandy, your dog's so cute in the avatar. Okay. Um, King's Mina says triple Trumpers are racist, point blank, period. I
Agree.
1000% agree with you. I know this to be true because I've seen it. I've been in white circles and they use inflation as a reason to justify their racist vote. These triple Trumpers have been mad ever since a black man, I'm sorry, we're camera angle here, ever since a black man slept in the White House and ate off the China, and this is white lash. This MAGA stuff is a white lash. And I 100% agree with you. And until more white people start talking about it, and Democrats don't shy away from this because it is a very real thing, racism. And now it's even, people are even more emboldened with it. Okay, let's look at the next one. Kara says, that shit was so bizarre. The way maggots stood and clapped for things that are so cruel are clearly lies. They are robotic. Okay, Kara, this blew my mind.
Blue.
They would be talking about something really cruel, and you would see J.D. Vance and Moses Mike, big Christian, what would Jesus do, laughing at the cruelty.
I couldn't wrap my head around, like, at least be stoic during the cruelest parts, but they like it so much, they couldn't control themselves. It was honestly looking at JD Vance and Moses Mike up there. I mean, it was all I could do not to throw up in my mouth. I mean, they are the grossest, most hypocritical, vile, craven. I mean, Trump's crazy. He's always been the same. These two guys, now I don't know that Moses Mike ever knew better, but I know JD Vance knew better because he wrote articles about it. So I know he knew better. And Moses Mike, I mean, he is gum on the bottom of my shoe after I've been walking through New York streets for 5 hours.
But Moses Mike, that guy, he is, you can take that personality type and multiply it all through the South. That is
Yeah.
every Southern evangelical man. And they're total hypocrites and they have a very black and white worldview. They never stand up for anything except for capitalism and racism. I mean, and
Misogyny.
that's it. And so, yeah, misogyny. Okay, let's do a couple of more. Okay, Rusty 19481 says this is the Democrats' chance to get the red states behind them. Don't blow the opportunity. No red-blooded American wants to see us abandon our good neighbors and allies. I agree. I think this is an opportunity to come into red states and say you've been lied to. Your state has been governed by a MAGA supermajority for 20 years, and here's where you are in standings. Here's how much more your state has to suck off. They don't hear this on Fox.
No, they don't know. No.
And I think that the Democrats need to hire. There was a guy named Parker who ran the Kamala HQ account when that was just this attack dog thing. And I think these accounts need to pop up left and right, and they need to meme the shit out of them, and they need to be mean. I just think for one campaign cycle, for just one, I wish the Democrats would campaign mean.
Well, here's the deal. Now's the time to try it because they're shut out in every branch of government. I mean, they've got the White House. MAGA has the White House. The White House, Congress, obviously the Supreme. I mean, we just have to come in full court assault. We have nothing to lose at this point.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. Okay. One final comment. Grand Poobah says, why do Democrats think they can be reasonable with an unreasonable cult? The maggots believe the Democrats are evil and are told this at least 5 times a day in their bubble. I completely agree. I think that they have this messaging somewhere where they think that they can peel off people. What's going to happen, Democrats, when you try to get these elusive, like low information voters that you peel off? You're going to lose your base. And that's what happened in this most previous election. You lost your base when you started running around with Liz Cheney. That for me, I remember I still voted for Kamala. I would vote for Kamala again tomorrow. But when I saw that, I thought, really? Liz Cheney is this big pro-life person who perpetuated the myth that babies are born and then they're killed in the United States of America. She said that. There's a video of her saying that. But the Democrats are like, oh my God, Liz Cheney's so heroic. She's such a hero. And I'm like, this is the exact same thing of having a graduation for a kindergartner.
Right.
You're supposed to graduate from kindergarten. You're supposed to have a brain where you use deduction skills and you say, oh, Donald Trump is really not very bright, a criminal, and traffics in recreational cruelty. And January 6th was really fucked up, and I think he needs to be impeached. The fact that we're normalizing Liz Cheney and making that such a big deal is the problem, Democrats. You need to say, of course, there are some Republicans who see it who aren't beholden, and Liz Cheney happens to be one of them, but we disagree with everything that she says about women's rights, about gay rights. Fucked up thing about Liz Cheney is she has a gay sister and votes against her sister's interest. And then you want to cart that around with your base. Like, it just doesn't work. So you might go after this elusive, moderate, low information voter, but you're going to lose your base. Like, my husband's already like, he's not going to be a registered Democrat anymore. He's so mad at the Democrats. And furthermore, I think one thing the Democrats need to do is you need to take some accountability for messing up in the first couple of years of Joe Biden's term
Yeah.
and not having Trump in prison. I mean, seriously, you need to say we
Failed.
didn't move quickly enough. We appointed the January 6th committee too late. We appointed a special, you should have been up the attorney general's ass saying, when is this motherfucker going to be arrested? And you need to take accountability for that. And until you do that, until you look at people and start being honest with them, you're going to lose your base. But yeah, you might get, 8% of these, MAGA voters that you want, but you're going to lose your base.
Well, and I agree with what the comment made was these people are not rational. There's a portion of them that are in a cult. You're never going to get them. I don't care if you hand fed them for 6 months. They are not rational actors. So you just have to just move on.
Yeah. All right. Listen, we decided to go live today because, MAGA, SCOTUS, all the crap. And I see that sometimes some of these Trump trolls get in here, and what a pathetic life to support a man that has to wear a full face of makeup, dyes his hair. It's just a complete, total embarrassment domestically and internationally. Literally, I think maybe 30% of the American population thinks he's cool. The rest of the world hates him.
Well, and Elon Musk is his keeper, and it's obvious. They're not even trying to hide it. Elon Musk is his keeper. He cannot go anywhere or do anything without Elon Musk. But that's your alpha. There you go.
That's right. All right, guys, we'll see you later.